I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime Magazine, and we're here hacking in the Hamptons. I'm here with our third panel, consisting of Richard Seewald, founder and managing partner at Evolution Equity Partners, Deneen DeFiore, vice president and chief information security officer at United Airlines, and Ian Swanson, founder and CEO at ProtectAI. Hacking in the Hamptons is brought to you by Evolution Equity Partners, an international venture capital investor partnering with exceptional entrepreneurs to develop market-leading cybersecurity and enterprise software companies. To learn more about Evolution Equity Partners, visit evolutionequity.com. Richard, welcome. Great to have you on with us today.
Hey, Steve. Great to be here.
Deneen, welcome. Great to have you back with us.
Great. Thanks for having me again.
Ian, great to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Richard, artificial intelligence is headline news every day in our industry now, but it's not exactly new. IBM's Watson, a supercomputer with ultra-sophisticated AI code, beat out the world's best human Jeopardy champions and took home a $1 million prize from the popular TV show in 2011. After that, IBM groomed its star pupil in cybersecurity and announced that Watson was available as a cybercrime fighter in 2016. To kick off, Richard, give us some perspective on the market for generative AI as it relates to cybersecurity.
I think a great example of generative AI and large language models being deployed in large cybersecurity companies is Microsoft's Copilot that addresses cybersecurity threats, gets into some operational orchestration related items, provides detail on threat environment and threat surface. I think it's an example of how large language models are being utilized. That being said, those large language models require attention to detail on privacy related matters, given the data that's been integrated there and a host of others. I think important to keep an eye on those opportunities, but as well as the threats that revolve around the large language model universe today.
So Deneen, you're the CISO at one of the world's largest organizations, United Airlines. Before that, we've known each other for years. You're a CISO at GE Aviation. I know you've got thoughts on the state of generative AI today, but I am curious to know, how long have you been thinking about this? How long has this been on your mind? It showed up in the media a couple of years ago, over the past year, but go back 3 years, 4 years, 5 years ago. Is this something you've been thinking about?
I've been aware and thinking about the potential of AI, especially in the context of cybersecurity for, several years now. AI has the power to significantly enhance our ability to detect, prevent, and respond to cyber threats. On one hand, it's a very powerful ally and really helps us defend against our the cyber criminals. We found it to be its abilities to be able to analyze vast amounts of data in real time and help us identify and respond to threats more quickly and effectively than ever before. For example, AI is used already in cybersecurity to detect suspicious behaviors, anomalies that may indicate cyber attacks, and allow us to take action before significant damage does occur. But on the other hand, AI has the potential to be weaponized by cyber criminals. I think we all know that. And as those technologies become more and more sophisticated, cyber criminals, of course, can use them to launch more and more targeted and sophisticated attacks, more sophisticated and convincing emails, phishing emails, smishing, social engineering campaigns, or even to automate the process of creating malware, finding and exploiting vulnerabilities in software. So, we as cybersecurity professionals really have to be diligent and invest in our knowledge about AI so we can, deconstruct and engineer to defend against these attacks, just like cyber criminals are using it to exploit. So I think by doing that, we'll be in a position to stay a few steps ahead of the threat to protect our organizations from evolving cyber security threats.
So Ian, you have deep domain experience in this space, and I need you to help me out here because we have a lot of CISO cybersecurity professionals who watch us, but we also have boardroom C-suite executives, and sometimes we get emails from them afterwards because they don't understand some of the technical terms that we've used, or maybe there's not enough context. So I'm hoping you could elevate this for us a little bit. When you go back in time, I mean, I remember years and years ago, even in the help desk space, they had a lot of these prepackaged databases that, in some ways you could interpret as as artificial intelligence because the agents would just type something in and, they'd get an answer. Maybe that's primitive. When IBM brought Watson to market to combat cybercrime, they described it as cognitive computing. But I know AI is different. It's supposed to think on its own. Help us out with a good description that everybody could understand.
I have been in this space for 15 years. And so when I think about AI and also machine learning, I like to say AI is the application or the vehicle for digital transformation. And machine learning, the model, is the engine or the powertrain. Now, you did bring up IBM Watson, so maybe I can also start there. IBM Watson is a technology that's capable of answering questions in natural language processing. So natural language questions. So think advanced NLP, automated reasoning, and machine learning. And it was developed in part by IBM's Deep QA. And I think it playfully debuted in around 2010, 2011, answering Jeopardy questions. That's what a lot of people know about Watson. Now, while groundbreaking at the time, and advanced NLP solutions like Watson, they face a lot of headwinds to scale and to deliver results across multiple use cases. But if you fast forward to today, what we've seen is enabling advancements in the industry for NLP to what is commonly referred to as generative AI is happening at an astonishing rate, from algorithmic innovations to massive increases in computational power to the availability of larger data sets to transformers, enabling powerful models that you hear about today, like GPT and BERT. So today we see real use cases in generative AI to improve security, which is amazing, with advanced anomaly detection, automation of security policy generation, to synthetic identity detection, to even code reviews and vulnerability assessments. AI has come a long way since the early days of Watson, and the future is really exciting.
Richard, it seems as if generative AI is so sudden insofar as making headlines in our industry. And as a result, we're seeing a disproportionate number of investments going into cybersecurity startups with AI as the description of what they do, whether they actually do or not. Even if it's things like powered by Gen AI, it's so pervasive in our industry now that it's baked into most cybersecurity solutions. Put the market in perspective for us.
Machine learning and AI have been part of cybersecurity infrastructure for over a decade. So if we go back early on in the investment history of Evolution Equity Partners, we invested in a company called Cognitive Security that was utilizing machine learning and AI to identify advanced persistent threats, looking at net flow data at the router. It was a company we invested in 2012. Ultimately, that company was acquired by Cisco Systems and made up foundationally some of the machine learning and AI capabilities that Cisco Cybersecurity has today. Over that next decade, we continued to invest in machine learning and AI capability that was built into the infrastructure of a lot of cybersecurity companies. And I think when you look at that decade, from even around 2012 to 2022, it was primarily focused on detection and response capabilities that utilize machine learning and AI. And that became sort of foundational to most cybersecurity companies. The change has been the onset of large language models and generative AI. And that has created opportunity for next generation cybersecurity companies to address some of the threats and opportunities that exist with large language models. So effectively, you have machine learning and AI that's protecting machine learning and AI. That's one set of companies out there. And then another set of companies that are using advanced elements of machine learning and AI to protect infrastructure, code, developer ecosystem, code being put into production, and the detection and response aspect of that.
Deneen, I'd like to know what your mindset is around generative AI now, today. We talked about the past. So do you spend more time thinking about criminals and how they're being weaponized and the threats they pose to you? And, this would be true of your colleagues. I know you talk to a lot of other CISOs. Or are you spending more time thinking about how can we use it? How could our cybersecurity professionals benefit from it?
It's both because, my role as a CISO is to enable secure business outcomes. So the use of AI has been in the airline industry for, a long time. enabling a lot of efficiencies in our operations. And now with generative AI, the adoption of that technology will enable a lot of innovation in the way we interact with customers, or we gain efficiencies and productivity with our internal employees and operations. So definitely thinking of it from a strategic evaluation perspective, but also, of course, being a risk professional, one of cautious concern as well, too. Generative AI, has the ability, like I mentioned before, to create highly convincing content. And that content could be misinformed, images, video, text, and that poses a significant threat in the hands of cyber criminals for sure. So that weaponization of generative AI is definitely top of mind and concern for me, like many other CISOs. And those techniques right now bypass traditional cybersecurity defenses. So that is the real concern, right? They're able to manipulate our techniques and with greater ease, causing greater damage. So in response to that, we as cybersecurity professionals really have to recognize the importance of generative AI in cybersecurity solutions in a meaningful way. We have to understand the tools, technologies, the models, and understand how we can use them to better detect and mitigate risks posed by generative AI. That may mean everything from developing advanced detection algorithms to identifying fake content, but also things like enhancing authentication mechanisms to verify the authenticity of digital assets like photos and social media posts and things like that content. And I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't state that we also have to make sure that our employees in our organizations are educated about the existence of this new threat and the potential of the risks about this new technology. So I think with all those things, we're doing a great job collaborating amongst the industry around, different techniques and approaches to managing cybersecurity risk when it comes to generative AI, and also in the regulatory space, really, coming together to look at how we can make sure that it is responsibly used. We're harnessing the power of AI while mitigating the risks in our organizations.
Wow, Deneen, you just got yourself invited back on again. You did it again. Because we have to talk to employees about this, but we're going to have to save that for another episode. But that is very, very important. Ian, let me turn to you. I want to get comments about what Heather Adkins, VP of Security Engineering at Google, had to say. We caught up with her at the Munich Cybersecurity Conference a couple of weeks ago. Let's listen to this clip.
At Munich Cybersecurity Conference and in Munich Security Conference just more generally this year, the number one topic was AI. I think I probably heard and said AI 1,000 times an hour this week. And the reason for that is that people want to secure AI, of course, as a hot topic, but there is also this recognition that unlike ever before, we have this new tool, this kind of new scientific instrument, if you will, that may actually let us get ahead. But generative AI in particular is going to give us a new kind of opportunity, really, to just change the whole game.
So, Ian, is it a game changer potentially? This was when they were announcing, by the way, Google's AI cyber defense initiative.
So first, I agree with Heather. AI and security is the hottest topic right now. And yes, I do think it's a game changer. But I think there's something really important that Heather stated, and that is the security of AI. With my company, ProtectAI, we went from meeting with 1 to 2 CISOs a week a year ago to discuss the security of AI to 10 to 15 CISO meetings weekly right now. And so Heather's right. Generative AI, it's exciting. It will deliver value. Now, while the advancements of AI have been significant since the introduction of Watson in 2011, like we talked about, we must also understand that AI itself needs to be secure. Every board at every large enterprise has a plan to further deploy AI. And yes, AI has already been deployed across most enterprises. I was on a call with the CISO about 5 months ago, and he joined the call and he said, Ian, we're on this call for educational purposes. We want to understand the risk, the cyber risks to AI. And he said, we're just starting to deploy AI. But their head of AI was on the call and raised their hand and said, actually, we have 7,000 models live today. And so this was just astonishing for the CISO, where they were like, wait a minute here, what's going on? And what it really played a part is that every CISO must understand that they have AI deployed, where machine learning is deployed, and they must also protect AI from threats, technical threats to reputational risks. And this includes threat to how AI is built, the supply chain, the ML models that power AI and how they can contain unsafe code, and attacks at the point of inference. So this might be a prompt to a large language model that could try to adversarially manipulate an outcome. Right now, CISOs are getting educated, ready, and armed to combat security threats, either using AI through cybersecurity initiatives and to protect their own AI.
So, Richard, USA Today recently reported that more than 9 in 10 businesses plan to use or they're currently using AI and machine learning to enhance their cybersecurity operations. Do you think that's an accurate sign of the times?
Certainly. Again, machine learning and AI have been a core part of cybersecurity infrastructure for some time. So that's not a surprising statistic. I think attackers are utilizing machine learning and AI in an environment where we're sort of involved in asymmetric warfare, where the attacker needs to be right once, defenders need to be right all the time. And machine learning and AI skew those asymmetries to the attacker so that very small organizations or even single man hackers can cause significant damage to large organizations. And I think that's the change over the last couple of years, is that asymmetry has shifted towards the attacker. Having said that, it's a cat and mouse game, and large organizations, medium-sized organizations are utilizing machine learning and AI to defend and protect.
So, Deneen, in a year from now, 3 years, 5 years down the line, what role do you think Gen AI will play in cyber defense? And will it fundamentally change the defense playbook for organizations?
Generative AI will be increasingly play more and more in a significant role in cyber defense over the next few years. Probably in a year from now, generative AI is going to be used probably as I'll say a native feature functionality in tools that detect and respond to threats. Right now, we're seeing, the launch of separate modules or a separate solution. I believe in a year or so, that's just going to be kind of table stakes for getting through the analysis of large data sets and identifying patterns and responding to them in a more effective way. But I think, as that evolves in, a couple of years, 3 to 5 years from now, I think it's going to be more and more important in the way we defend our organizations. And we can anticipate more sophisticated uses of Gen AI. So, for instance, I think, there would be generative AI cyber defense strategy, AI-driven cyber defense strategies that adapt in real time to an attack or situation, right? Taking that data as you kind of react and defend and go through the steps of your IR playbook, right? That is responding and suggesting and evolving the response playbook in real time and from a dynamic perspective. So I think it's going to really change the defensive playbook for organizations and really get us from that reactive approach to a more proactive approach and real-time dynamic approach. But it's going to require a lot of investment and a lot of learning and understanding to develop those new skills and capabilities. And, I think we have to, as cyber professionals, just like our businesses are leveraging it to, be at the innovations and get competitive edge, we have to make sure that we are doing the same thing. And those cyber defense strategies demand the same level of knowledge and sophistication and use of Gen AI or AI as as what we're doing to get outcomes generated from our organizations.
So, Ian, same question to you. Where do you see this going? Deneen touched on incident response and some other facets of security. I mean, is this going to touch everything? Is this going to help us patch systems? Is it going to help us train employees? Is it going to help us with endpoint security? Where are we going?
So the future of cyber defense with generative AI will continue to be fast and honestly impressive. We will quickly see increased AI integrations across all layers and use cases of cybersecurity, with much more improved data, compute efficiency, and deepening integrations all the way to the edge. Yet, I agree with what Deneen said, we'll see generative AI accelerate attacks, and it's going to prompt an increased ethical and regulatory developments, and yes, challenges and solutions in AI safety and security.
And we're going to close out now. Final thoughts, Deneen, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think, this is an opportunity for us as cybersecurity professionals to really embrace a technology that is evolving at such a fast pace and accelerate our capabilities right along with our organization and our business partners. So I think everybody really needs to look at it holistically and understand how we can leverage the power of AI and generative AI to do our jobs as cybersecurity risk professionals, but also right, with that balanced and fair view of making sure that we are using it responsibly across our organizations, in totality. So the total risk reward question that we always struggle with, this is one that is right up front and center, and we need to be all in.
Ian, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to keep this pretty simple. And that is, while generative AI could be a real game changer for cyber, we must also be aware that it could be flawed, that it could be attacked. Therefore, I strongly believe there should be no AI in the enterprise without security of AI.
Richard, as always, it was great having you with us today. We'll let you close out. Any final thoughts after listening to Deneen and Ian today?
It's mission critical for every organization to be able to protect, firstly, foundational aspects of machine learning and AI development before code goes into production. As code goes into production and it's integrated into large language model capabilities, generative AI tools, it's often too late if that has not been secured pre-production. So firstly, that foundational aspect of securing code and applications. And then secondly, once in production, to be able to ensure that privacy dynamics are being attended to, as well as security aspects are being observed, monitored.
So Richard, Deneen, thank you so much both for joining us. Ian, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me.
It's been great to talk with you and the team, and look forward to our next session.
I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime Magazine. Hacking in the Hamptons is brought to you by Evolution Equity Partners, an international venture capital investor partnering with exceptional entrepreneurs to develop market-leading cybersecurity and enterprise software companies. Visit evolutionequity.com to learn more. You can keep up with all of our media at cybercrimemagazine.com.